Hey everybody, welcome to J Stern Designs. Today is sort of a part 2 of how to embroider your t-shirt, and I thought what I would do is give you some really important details about how to get great results when you're working on knit and you're using a sticky tearaway stabilizer. Because I've been working on this project and I've done 10 t-shirts, and as I've worked along I've been reminded of certain things that can go wrong when you're doing long-term projects using a sticky stabilizer. So you can see here that the stitching on the we and the love is not very good, and it's not because I didn't have enough stabilizer, it's because my needle was getting gummed up by the sticky stabilizer, and you can see here bits of fuzz and adhesive were gumming up my needle. You can see it. So I changed the needle, and then on top of changing the needle, another thing to do is to use some sewer's aid on the actual needle. And what it'll do is it'll lubricate the needle so it can slide in and out, and the adhesive and all of the other little stuff that can grab on won't stick to the needle. And I just want to show you how to use it. This bottle of sewer's aid will last me my whole lifetime, because literally all you need to do is just take the tiniest dab on your finger, and then you're just going to rub it up and down on the needle before you put it. It's easier to do before you put it in the machine, and you don't want to have any extra lubricant, because if it drips off the needle onto your wash away stabilizer topping, then it will make a new kind of sticky mess. And then you can put this needle in and it will have a much easier time going through that sticky stabilizer. I have found that I actually had to reapply the sewer's aid after every other embroidery too, and I would just do it while it was on the machine then, just to keep it from getting gummed up. So that's a tip for working with the sticky stabilizer and how to keep your tension looking nice. As you can see down here, the seniors and the R stitched out much better, and that was after I started using the sewer's aid on my needle. All right, so that's how to help with your tension. I didn't show how to hoop the actual stabilizer yesterday, so I thought I would do that today. What you do is you cut a piece that's slightly larger than your hoop. I like to have about 1 inch on either side. And then what you do is you place it in the hoop and you press the inner hoop down. And this particular brand, the Sulky, has a grid, which is helpful, if you hoop it with a grid going square with the guides on your hoop, it just gives you another visual cue to help you get things positioned in the hoop properly. This is my tweezers for my serger, and I'm just going to drag it along like this, diagonally across, and then I'm going to use my tweezer to pick in there. And see, what I can do is I can now peel the backing away. The trick is you don't want to dig in too deep and make a hole in your stabilizer. So just drag something that's kind of sharp across the paper to get rid of this paper topping. And what that's doing is exposing the adhesive side of the stabilizer. So when you put the stabilizer in the hoop, it needs to be with the backing face up, because then you've got a sticky surface to adhere your fabric in the hoop. All right, so the first step in positioning a second design where you want it to be placed in relation to your first design is to determine how big it is. If you're stitching this out for the first time, the information for sizing is usually on the screen of your sewing machine, because it'll say the hoop size and it'll say the size of the actual design. You can use that information, or if you already have it stitched out, I can just show you quickly. We can measure. And my We Love Our Seniors is 2 inches and 1/8. All right, so we need to know that, and then we also need to know how far we want the top of the lettering to be spaced from the bottom of the number in this case. So I'm shooting for about a 1/2 inch. All right, so the total amount of space I need is about 2.5 or 2 5/8 inches because I've got the width of the embroidery plus the space in between. So to get my center, what I'm going to do is take half of the width of the embroidery and I'm going to add it to the space. So in this case, I'm going to draw my horizontal guideline about 1.5 inches or 1 5/8 away from the base of my numbers. So this makes it very easy then. I'm going to just take my ruler. I'm going to align up my vertical guides on my quilting ruler with my vertical guide, and then I'm going to find the 1.5 inch mark away from the base of the 17, and I'm just going to draw a horizontal guideline. All right, so now I know this is where I'm going to place my lettering. Now, just one interesting point. Notice with this number, the base of the number is over here, but the total width of the number is like this. Because visually, if I center the lettering directly in the center of the 17, it's going to look a little off center when it's embroidered, because up here where the top of the 7 isn't going to really compute with the lettering because it's so far away. So to make it look centered, I'm actually going to move my lettering over to towards the 1 a little bit, like a 1/4 inch. And what that'll do is it'll make it look like it's centered with the base of the numbers. It'll be a little off total center, but it'll look more centered than if I had centered it completely, because the total width up here is farther away from the lettering. It's sort of a visual trick of the eye. So really, I'm going to center my lettering up, a little bit towards the left. All right, so that's how you mark the position of the second embroidery. The process of putting it in the hoop and adding the wash away stabilizer and stitching it out is exactly the same as the 17, so I'm not going to take the time to show you how to do that again. If you need the step-by-step for how to embroider, check out part 1 of this, how to embroider your t-shirt. If you have any questions about working with sticky stabilizer, centering things, to let you know, I just use my regular old-fashioned chalk. I try to stay away from the wash away marking pens because sometimes after you've washed away the line, it comes back after it's dried. So chalk is my favorite thing to use because it reliably will wash away. All right, so that's how you work with sticky stabilizer, and some tips for keeping your needle from getting gummed up. If you have any questions about that, or if you have questions about placing a design on your t-shirt to get it to be exactly where you want it in relation to a first design, please post your comments below, or you could visit my blog at J Stern Designs. I hope you're enjoying this mini series of tutorials. I don't think I'm going to have time to show you how to embroider on the front, but all of the techniques are pretty much the same. If you have any questions about that, please post them below. I hope you guys are having a great day, and I'll see you again soon.